Being insulted does not always reduce your worth. But the way you respond to an insult can damage your image faster than the insult itself. Many people think the issue lies with the rude person. No, the real issue is whether you are able to hold yourself together in that moment or not. Because with just one wrong reaction, people will not remember who insulted you first. They will only remember how badly you lost control. In this video, you will see 5 things you should absolutely never do when you are looked down upon, pressured, taunted, or insulted. These are not merely reactions that help you protect yourself, but also ways of taking back power through silence, discipline, and composure. Because in the Stoic spirit, reputation is not built through impulsive emotion. It is built through the ability to master yourself when others are trying to pull you down. Pay special attention to the third point. Used properly, it does not merely stop disrespect, it makes people understand immediately which boundary they are never allowed to cross again. Everyone has had a moment like that. One dismissive remark, one contemptuous glance, one overbearing attitude that makes your chest heat up, your mind race, and your ego instantly want to strike back. You know you are right. You know you have not been treated properly. But in that exact moment, if you respond wrongly, your entire position can collapse in just a few seconds. That is why many people do not lose because the other person is stronger. They lose because they cannot hold on to themselves. Raising your voice is not power. Striking back immediately does not mean strength. Making others afraid does not mean making them respect you. Real strength lies here. Your pride is touched. Yet you still keep a clear mind. You are tested. Yet you do not drop your dignity. You are insulted. Yet you do not hand over control of yourself to the other person. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not over external events. And the person who keeps hold of their mind is the one who keeps hold of the situation. 1. Do not react immediately when your blood is still hot. The very first thing you should absolutely never do when insulted is react while still in the heat of your own anger. This is the most common mistake. When you are insulted, the body reacts before reason does. Your chest tightens, your breathing becomes faster, the urge to retaliate appears very quickly. You want to say something sharp, something cutting, something strong enough to take back the upper hand immediately. But that exact moment is where most people lose everything. Because reacting too quickly does not prove strength. It only proves that the buttons of your emotions are sitting in someone else's hand. Psychologically speaking, the person insulting you is often testing your boundaries. They want to see whether you are easy to trigger. If you explode immediately, you have just revealed your weakness. You are predictable, easy to steer, easy to provoke again. And once someone knows they can control your emotions, they will continue doing it. The Stoic does the opposite. They pause, not because they are weak, but because they understand that the first reaction is often the worst one. They create a very short gap between the event and the response. That very gap returns power to them. A very practical example. Someone says in front of others, "You are always preaching principles. But what have you actually done?" A person without control will fire back immediately, voice rising, face reddening, speaking continuously to prove that they are not like that. A person with inner strength will look straight at them, stay silent for a few seconds, and then answer briefly. "When you are calmer, I am willing to continue this conversation." A short sentence, not harsh, but the balance shifts immediately. The deeper principle is this. Self-control is strength. The person who controls their first reaction is the one who cannot easily be led around. If you can remain calm in the very first second, you can hold the entire game. 2. Do not over-explain yourself to someone who has already decided to misunderstand you. The second wrong reaction is falling into over-explaining, justifying, defending, and proving yourself too much. This is a very hidden trap. When you are insulted or misunderstood, you feel a very strong urge to repair your image in the other person's eyes. You want them to know you are not what they say you are. You want them to understand who you truly are. You want to protect your worth through words. But here is the problem. When you offer explanations to the wrong person, explanation is no longer clarity. It becomes a form of asking to be acknowledged. Seneca once stressed that a person who knows their own worth does not need to stand there trying to convince others forever. The more you keep talking, the more you show that you need the other person to confirm something you yourself should already know clearly. Psychologically, when you speak too much to protect your worth, the other person will unconsciously feel that you are already wavering. And a person who is wavering does not create authority. They create the feeling that they need to be convinced. The truth is that some people do not want to understand you. They only want to exhaust you. They do not ask in order to understand. They ask in order to force you into a position where you must prove yourself. And once you step into that circle, you are negotiating your very identity with a person who has no good intention at all. Example. Someone says, "You only did that to win people over." A weaker person will rush, "No, it's not like that, because that day I was thinking this. And I meant that. And I never intended." The more they speak, the deeper they are dragged into the trap of proving themselves. A steady person will simply say, "You are free to think that. I do not feel the need to correct every conclusion you make about me." That is not coldness. That is self-respect. The deeper principle. Self-respect means you do not perform your worth for people committed to misunderstanding you. A person of real value does not run after recognition. They remain still inside their own clarity. 3. Do not stay silent in a way that only suppresses you, and then call that calmness. This is the most important point. Many people hear about Stoicism and misunderstand it, thinking that if they remain quiet, keep tolerating, and keep overlooking every rude act, then they are being noble. No, that is not Stoicism. Most often, that is simply fear of confrontation disguised as peace. Never completely ignore disrespect if it repeats itself or touches your core boundaries. Because psychologically, whatever you keep tolerating will gradually become the standard people use to treat you. The first time you let it pass, they test one step further. The second time you suppress it, they begin to treat it as normal. The third time you are still silent, they conclude that you will do nothing at all. Insult that is not dealt with does not disappear on its own. It accumulates. It becomes a quiet tension. It erodes self-respect. And worst of all, it makes you angrier at yourself than at the other person. The Stoic does not react impulsively. But they do not abandon their boundaries either. They choose the right moment, the right tone, the right words. They speak with calmness, but they speak very clearly. Example. In a conversation, someone repeatedly cuts you off and smirks as if your opinion is not worth hearing. You do not need to start a fight. You only need to look at them directly and say, "I will continue when you stop interrupting." A sentence like that is calm enough and firm enough. It does not ruin the conversation, but it resets the standard. This is where many weaker people fail. They think silence preserves peace. In truth, they are only allowing others to train them into someone easy to step on. The deeper principle is, peace is not passivity. Real peace is not built through avoidance. It is built through alignment between what you believe, what you accept, and how you act. A person who does not protect their boundaries will sooner or later lose themselves. 4. Do not pull the crowd into it just to take revenge. When insulted, a very common reaction is not to deal with the person directly, but to go tell this person, tell that person, gather allies, seek support, and want others to take your side so that you can feel balanced again. But that is not strength. That is dependence. When you retaliate through a third person, through gossip, through speaking badly behind someone's back, through gathering an audience for your annoyance, you are turning your dignity into a campaign for public approval. That makes you look more caught inside the drama than truly in command of the situation. Epictetus reminds us that a strong person handles problems with inner independence. They do not need an audience to legitimize their anger. They either face it directly with composure and precision, or they walk away in silence. They do not create sides. Psychologically, The more people you drag into the conflict, the more emotionally tied you become to it. You keep retelling it, stressing it again, proving again that you were right. And every time you do that, you pour more energy into something that ought to have ended much earlier. Example. After someone taunts you in a group, instead of addressing it directly or consciously keeping your distance, you go and tell 5 other people, hoping they will confirm that you were treated unfairly. You may receive sympathy. But at what cost? The cost is that the matter is still controlling you. You still have not stepped out of it. A person with inner authority does not need a crowd in order to feel right. They do not turn a wound into a campaign. They either handle it, or they withdraw. The deeper principle. Emotional independence creates respect. The one who does not need an audience for their battle is the one people truly respect. Real power is not noisy. It is direct. It is clean. It does not need spectators. 5. Do not lower your own standards just to answer them in their style. This is the final fall, and also the one many people mistake for victory. Someone is rude to you, so you become rude back. Someone mocks you, so you mock them more sharply. Someone lowers you, so you strike even harder. In that moment, it feels satisfying. It feels fair. It feels like you are not letting it pass. But what is the truth? You are lowering yourself to exactly the level where they are standing. This is the most subtle defeat. Because you think you are holding your ground. In reality, you are allowing their behavior to decide what kind of person you become. You are no longer acting from your own principles. You are reacting from their energy. The Stoic does not forget who they are merely because someone else behaves badly. Their standard does not rise and fall with circumstances. They do not lose dignity simply because the other person has none. Psychologically, when you lower your standard to answer them fairly, you may win the moment, but you lose something greater, alignment with yourself. And once you move away from your core values, even if your mouth wins, something inside still feels dirty, heavy, and wrong. Example. Someone deliberately provokes you to drag you into crude, low-level talk. You may be able to beat them with a line even nastier than theirs. But the price is that you have just stepped away from the very composure that should have made you different from them. Sometimes the strongest response is not the harshest sentence. It is the most precise one. Short, clear, boundaried, without lowering yourself. A very Stoic sentence would be, I do not speak in that way. That is all. But it keeps your backbone intact. The deeper principle. Restraint is power. Precision beats noise. The person who keeps their standards in the middle of provocation is the one who truly cannot be dragged down. Insult is always a test. It does not only show you who the other person is. It also shows you how much you have trained yourself. Every time you choose to pause instead of explode. Choose clarity instead of justification. Choose boundaries instead of silent endurance. Choose dignity instead of revenge. You are building something very rare, the presence of a person who is not easy to control. Out of these 5 things, which one have you struggled with the most? Comment 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And if you like this kind of Stoic content, sharp, deep, and the kind that wakes you up after hearing it, then like and subscribe to Stoic Light so we can walk together on the path of self-mastery.